The owner of a funeral home, Elliot Deacon, is preparing another deceased for a funeral while talking to them. Then he took a photo. In the morning, a young woman named Anna Taylor and her fiancé Paul Coleman make love, but Anna's thoughts are elsewhere and Paul notices. He asked her what's been happening with her lately. Anna doesn't know why her life suddenly lost all its colors. In class, bullies picked on a quiet boy named Jack. The altercation was stopped by Anna, who was a school teacher. The boy thought that one of the birds was not alive, but Anna said that it was just scared. While Paul was at work at the law firm, Anna was taking antidepressants. When she was walking home from school, the lights in the hallway suddenly went out, which scared her. In addition, Anna couldn't open the door. However, the next second Jack appeared, turned on a light, and opened the door easily. The boy said that his mother was already on her way to pick him up. Anna is also in a hurry because today is the funeral of her music teacher. She ran out of antidepressants and went to the pharmacy to buy more. When Anna saw a beauty salon, she suddenly thought of changing her hair color to bright red. At the farewell ceremony, the deceased man's wife asks Elliot how he knew that her husband loved white roses the most. Deacon replied that it were the most suitable. When Anna approached the coffin, she thought that the deceased man had opened his mouth slightly. Elliot noticed her nervous behavior and later watched her from the window. In the evening, Paul waited for Anna at the restaurant. He wanted to ask her to marry him. When his beloved arrived, Paul started his conversation from a distance. He was offered a job at the head office in Chicago, which was an amazing opportunity. Without listening to Paul, Anna concluded that he wanted to leave her and decided to pay her off with an expensive dinner. Anna loudly sent her beloved away and left the restaurant. Paul rushed after her, but she drove away anyway. Rain was pouring outside. Anna was driving and crying. At some point, she got distracted by her phone and got into an accident. In the next scene, we see Elliot getting ready to start his work duties. He approached the autopsy table and lifted the sheet, under which lay pale Anna with a head injury. Elliot took off her watch and shoes, packing them into a craft paper bag. Then he cut her dress, leaving Anna in a red nightgown. Anna opened her eyes and asked what was going on. Elliot explained that she passed away 8 hours ago. Anna was bewildered as she was alive, so Elliot showed her the doctor's conclusion as evidence. Anna couldn't move and begged Elliot not to touch her, but he had to make sure she looked beautiful at her funeral. Deciding to make Anna aware of her death, Elliot left her. Upon waking up, Paul tried to call Anna, but her phone was with Deacon, who listened to the voice message and put Anna's personal belongings with the rest of the deceased's. Paul went to Anna's workplace, learning that she didn't show up today. Meanwhile, Elliot talked to himself, adding the photograph of the previous client to his collection. Paul visited Anna's mother, Beatrice Taylor, who moves around in a wheelchair. From her, Paul learned that Anna deceased last night. This news shocked him. He doesn't understand why Beatrice didn't call right away. She, in turn, began to blame him for what had happened. Elliot continued to work on the body of Anna, who couldn't believe what was happening and begged to be released. Elliot called it a stage of denial and began to stitch her wounds. Anna felt nothing. Hearing the doorbell ring, Elliot injected Anna with a drug that was supposed to slow down the rigor process. Mrs. Taylor came to the funeral home with her caregiver. She wanted to see her daughter, despite Elliot not having prepared her body yet. He claimed that Anna's soul was still here. Before leaving, Beatrice asked Elliot to return her hair to its previous color. Jack cut out the news about the school teacher's doom from the newspaper. The boy asked his mother why she didn't pick him up from school yesterday, but the woman stared blankly at the TV. While Elliot was cleaning his tools, Anna managed to get off the autopsy table. She felt her pulse, but to no avail. The only explanation was that she had gone into shock. Anna wanted to use the phone, but there was no ringing. Meanwhile, Elliot was making arrangements with the priest for the service for the deceased when suddenly Paul showed up. Upon hearing his voice, Anna started banging on the door and calling for help, but no one heard her. Since Paul was not a close relative of hers, Elliot refused to let him see the deceased. When Deacon came downstairs, Anna demanded an explanation. Elliot said that from now on she would have to forget about living people, and they would forget about her. To others, she was just a body on a table, and only he saw her as she was. Paul came to the police station and saw Anna's crashed car in the parking lot. He sat in it, and for a moment he saw the image of his beloved. Police officer Tom, a close friend of Paul's, expressed his condolences. Paul said that the funeral director would not allow him to see Anna, but Tom could not help. Anna took scissors and approached another table where an elderly woman lay. When Deacon came in, Anna hid the scissors behind her back. Seizing the moment, she ran to the locked door. Elliot was approaching, and Anna threatened him with the scissors, but in the end, she could not do it. The woman tried to convince the funeral director that she was alive because she could breathe and talk. Elliot reminded her that he was the only one who could hear her. The thing is, he has an innate gift and helps the dead make the transition from this world to the other. Before leaving, Elliot said that her funeral would be in 2 days, and then Anna would be buried forever. Jack was taking care of the weak bird that he brought from school. Meanwhile, Anna saw the deceased from the neighboring table above her. The woman told her that she was not ready yet. Anna got up, watching horrifying images bordering on madness. At some point, she saw herself on the autopsy table and woke up the next moment. In a fit of helpless anger, Anna made a mess of the room. Elliot was preparing the funeral of Mrs. Whitehall and noticed Jack in the hall. The boy thought it was Miss Taylor's funeral today, so he came. Seeing the mess caused by Anna, Elliot was outraged. Anna cried and called for her beloved. Paul, on the other hand, could not stay in his apartment. He saw Anna everywhere. Elliot prepared Anna's funeral dress, which her mother brought him. He was going to leave for some business, not knowing that Anna had stolen the keys. As soon as Elliot left, Anna started picking the lock. At the gas station store, Elliot discovered disappearance of the keys and hurried back. Anna managed to escape from the basement and tried to call Paul, but he could not hear her. Elliot entered the room and advised Anna not to appeal to the living as it would only hurt her loved ones. Seeing herself in the mirror, Anna was horrified because she looked like a dead person. That's when she realized that she passed away. Meanwhile, Jack was watching from afar, seeing his teacher through the window. Elliot noticed this. Anna no longer tried to resist, allowing Deacon to prepare her for the funeral. He washed out the red dye from her hair. Paul took Anna's belongings from her workplace. Seeing a photo of them together on one of the happiest days of their lives, Paul burst into tears. Elliot worked on another body while Anna watched. According to Elliot, this person had a brother who would come later. Anna felt weak, and Elliot advised her to rest, giving her another injection. At school, Jack called out to Paul, assuring him that he saw Anna yesterday at the funeral home wearing a red nightgown. Paul tried to brush it off, but when the boy shouted that Paul just didn't love her anymore, the guy hit him, realizing belatedly what he'd done. Police officer Vincent Miller arrived to see his brother Frank. Vincent was impressed with how well Elliot had worked on Frank's body. Anna lay on the nearby table. Vincent thought he saw her turn the head. He asked Elliot to leave him alone with his brother for a few minutes. Vincent peeked under Anna's sheet and hurriedly left in embarrassment when Deacon returned. Elliot became upset that Frank had tried to communicate with his brother. He cared for each of them as if they were his children, but only received black ingratitude in return. Angry, Elliot smeared Frank with cosmetics. After the funeral, Elliot approached Jack, realizing that he could feel the dead. According to Elliot, the first person he spoke to was his mother, and now Jack will have to learn to do it too. Seeing a red nightgown in a store window, Paul remembered that Anna had one just like it. This made him think that Jack was telling the truth. Paul immediately went to Deacon, claiming that Anna was alive. He entered the funeral home without permission and called out for his bride, but Anna did not respond, thinking it was better this way. Having achieved nothing, Paul went to the police station. No amount of expert opinions convinced him. Deacon could have pumped Anna up with medication and keep her locked up. One of the police officers confirmed that there are indeed such drugs, for example, hydrobromide. Vincent said he saw Anna in the funeral home, and she was definitely not alive. Tom decided that Paul had simply lost his mind from grief. The funeral will take place tomorrow. Anna said she regretted many things. She did nothing to change her life, and now it is too late. Most of all, she wanted love, but she constantly pushed Paul away. Elliot put the dress, tights, and shoes on her, and then asked what she would do if she had another chance. Anna had no answer. Then Elliot opened the door in front of her. She stood up and walked down the empty road, finding herself at her own funeral. All this resembled an extravaganza of the absurd. In the next moment, Anna woke up next to the exit of the projector room. Elliot realized that she, like everyone else, was afraid not of death, but of life itself. Elliot was preparing the grave, explaining to Jack that he had to bury Anna because there was no life left in her. People waste their days taking air away from those who really need it. Anna was laid in the coffin. Her time had come. Elliot intended to inject her with a substance labeled hydrobromide. Anna asked to look at herself in the mirror for the last time and noticed that it had fogged up from her breathing. Anna realized that Elliot had deceived her, but he'd assured her that it was just her imagination. Elliot injected her with hydrobromide, saying that she would soon find peace. When Anna became paralyzed, he took a photograph of her. At the funeral, Paul put an engagement ring on Anna's finger, kissed her, and left. As Elliot closed the lid of the coffin, Anna breathed in air. Soon the coffin was being thrown into the ground. Anna woke up and pounded on the lid, calling for help, but no one heard her. At the wake, Paul got drunk. Elliot approached him, saying that Anna might still be alive. Paul attacked Elliot but stopped short, realizing he didn't have much time left. At that moment, Jack put his chick in a box and buried. While Paul rushed to the cemetery, Anna was trying to get out. Paul was in such a hurry that he drove onto the opposite lane of the road. The truck headlights blinded him, but in the next second, he was driving calmly again. The ambulance raced past, observed by Elliot and Jack. Paul dug up Anna and rescued her from the coffin, performing artificial respiration on her. Anna woke up, but then they heard the sound of scissors cutting fabric. Paul found himself on the undisturbed grave, and the headlights blinded him again. Soon Paul came to on a coroner's table. Elliot explained that Paul had crashed into a tree and had an accident, never making it to the cemetery. Now Elliot and Jack had a lot of work to do.